Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in for our opposition fan preview show. If you're new around here or if you're new to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it should be going out to Twitch even. Make sure you do head over, subscribe here. And I've got Chris, the absolute legend from Villa Together podcast. Absolute pleasure to get you on, mate.
Nice one. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, mate, for coming on. Chris, you do a load of podcasts and all that, don't you, mate? I've left all your links and the description in the description, so make sure everyone you do head over and subscribe to there. But Chris, it's been a very good season for the Villa, hasn't it, this season?
Yeah, really, really good. I think we're eighth in the table. We've got 2 games in hand, and I think we win one of them, would be top 5. We win 2 of them, we could be a point behind Liverpool. Bit of an odd season, I think, because with a lot of the game, the odd game is getting cancelled because of COVID and stuff like that. But I think the only kind of I say frustration, it's very minor. It's kind of being picky. The only frustration this season would be just that we've lost in games against teams that on paper you may have expected us to have got more against, because obviously we've beaten Liverpool, beaten Arsenal, drawn against Chelsea.
I remember that one.
Yeah. Beat Leicester away. So we've had some good wins against the kind of the tougher teams, so to speak. But then defeats have come against West Ham, Brighton, Southampton. No disrespect to those teams, and in all fairness, they played reasonably well, but we kind of, I think, off the back of wins, especially, big wins against Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester, would have expected to possibly get a bit more from those games. Not necessarily winning them, but a couple of points here and there would be great. But yeah, I think, especially off the back of 17th place last season, staying up by 1 point on the final day, I think all Villa fans are delighted just to be top 10 realistically, and obviously with at the moment a realistic chance of possibly finishing something like top 8. So yeah, it's all good. It's been brilliant.
It's been a breath of fresh air, mate, hasn't it? From a point of view, obviously the Bull fan anyway. Remember that game? It was his counteracted our press really so well. It'd be interesting to see how Liverpool do approach, and obviously Aston Villa approach this game anyway, mate. Get to a couple of comments before we do get stuck into the good stuff. Hello, Doug. Hello, Jack. Hello, Doug, the absolute legend. Introduced me to Chris. Thank you very much. Hello, Jack and Chris as well. Good morning from Liz. Good morning, good afternoon anyway, wherever you are, Reds anyway. But hope you're having a lovely day, Chris. Liz, sorry, Chris as well. But yeah, Chris, really, it's going to be an interesting game. As you already mentioned, it's been a big season for the Villa. How do you reckon? I don't think Jurgen Klopp will go strong, but do you fully expect your lads to really go strong, or do you think it will be a mixed bag in terms of how you approach it?
Yeah, it's one of them. I wouldn't be surprised either way. Obviously, we've started the season really well, but then on the other hand, there is the potential.
Sorry for the gas. Yeah, go on.
So there's the potential that it's a reasonably good opportunity for a cup run, in terms of if we went strong and Liverpool possibly didn't, then obviously we could end up in the next round. At the same time, when you kind of talk about cup run, it could be premature in terms of it's still, the early rounds of the competition. It's not like, we're coming into the quarterfinals or the semi-finals or something. And I think as well, you look at the Manchester United game, I think we were competitive, but you could kind of tell that fatigue was setting in slightly, because we haven't really got a massive amount of squad depth. Obviously got reasonable squad, but in terms of quality off the bench, not really there. I wouldn't be surprised either way. My hunch is that we will go like mixed. So there'll be a couple of first, probably half and half. A few players will come in, a few players will drop out. That's what I think. In all fairness, I think we might change a couple of players, but we'll kind of see. But we on our podcast last night, we kind of just had a chat amongst ourselves, and none of us, in all fairness, knew how we would approach it. In the Carabao Cup, earlier this season, most of the games we were going second string.
Yeah. Obviously that was a lineup against the United, wasn't it?
Yep.
Any players to come out of there, really, mate? Obviously, not too sure. Got any couple of is there any other good youngsters coming through the Aston Villa ranks anyway that we probably haven't heard of?
I mean, to be fair, we've got a few. So on the bench against United, there's a lad who came on, number 41, Jacob Ramsey. He's a very, very good player. He made his first team debut for Villa 2 years ago in the Championship against West Brom. He went out on loan last season, went to Doncaster, and I think he scored. I think he only played a handful of games because he went towards the end of the January window. I think he scored something like 5 goals in 12 games or something. So he did relatively good. Started against Wolves earlier in the season. He's a good player. He's got a brother as well ironically called Aaron Ramsey, and he's arguably just as good. He's a bit younger, so he could be a good one. We've got a couple of players in the under 23 side that could come through, in all fairness. But at the moment, Jacob Ramsey is the one that kind of stands out. And I think looking at that team there, obviously we've got a couple of injuries. Ross Barkley's injured and Trezeguet is injured. So that kind of restricts our attacking options slightly. Looking at the team, I think Tom Heaton will probably come in for his first appearance of the season for Martinez. Obviously, it's just going to be one of them. Tom Heaton's a top goalkeeper, not as good as Martinez, but Tom Heaton's one of them. You can
better experienced, isn't he?
I think, in all fairness, any side in the Premier League could play Tom Heaton and expect him to give you at least a 7 out of 10. Possibly one of the centre halves. Mings was suspended. Came back in for the United game. Ezri Konsa missed a couple with illness, so it might be that somewhere along the lines that they potentially rest one of those two and bring in Courtney Hawes, who when deputising for those two, has played quite well. I think Jacob Ramsey will probably come in for Grealish. Yeah, we might just rest Grealish a bit because obviously he's played every minute of every game so far this season. The only, I say issue, it's nothing major, but the only kind of issue really is just the depth in terms of our wingers. We've got our wingers, so to speak, are El Ghazi, Grealish, Traore and Trezeguet. Obviously, with Trezeguet being injured and Barkley being injured, Grealish has been playing more central. So I think we'll have to stick with El Ghazi, Traore. I think Keenan Davis, who's young, I mean, he's 22-year-old striker, probably coming for Watkins. There might be a change at right back because we've actually got 3 right backs who've all played first team football. So it might be that El Mohammadi might come in for Matty Cash, but no major changes, just a few here and there. I think just to try and keep a few players fresh. But that's what I think we'll go for.
Yeah, absolutely spot on that, mate. Very interesting. I've been, obviously, El Mohammadi played very well when we played yous and last season anyway in the cup competition. Very experienced. How's Matty Cash settled? I was impressed with him last season. Is he really impressed you since he's come in to the football club?
Yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic. It was an interesting one when the link came through about us being interested in Cash and submitting a bid for cash, etc. It was a bit of a surprising one, I think, for most Villa fans because we had El Mohammadi, who, I think he's early 30s now, which in football these days really he's relatively old. It's normality is not old, but in football it is. And we had Frederick Gilbert, who's a French right back, and both of them were, I think Gilbert more than Elmo were quite hit and miss last season. The issue I think was that El Mohammadi is not getting any younger, and Gilbert just didn't quite settle in that much. And I think Matty Cash has come in, and I don't think you can fault him. If you watch him play, he's, in terms of, his pressures in the right area, making the press on the wingers has been fantastic. His interceptions, I think, I can't think how recent it was, but I read a stat in terms of tackles and interceptions. A lot of the stats in terms of Premier League, he was ranking either first or second, along with Kante. It was him and Kant. So it just kind of shows his game because he's very aggressive in the press. So it's hard for wingers to get past him.
Yeah.
And going forward, he's been good as well. He gets forward well. He's got a good engine on him. And I think what fits the team well is that positionally it works good. So he doesn't often get caught out even when he's pushing forward. And he's got a good delivery on him. So it's been fantastic. I think he surprised a lot of people. I know he did well for Forest last season. He transitioned from a right winger to a right back. And yeah, he's been brilliant. Really good signing.
I've been massively impressed with him. The way in which Dean Smith's played this season, mate, massively intrigued anyway. And hopefully it'll be made up if he can get, obviously, under Martin O'Neill all those years ago, very established Premier League side. He's getting like 6th, 7th and possibly potentially breaking into Europe all those seasons gone. And then we got Stuart Downing from Aston. We won't talk about that. It wasn't the best signing. He was amazing for Villa, Stuart Downing. Ashley Young on the wings back in the day. But yeah, to get some good comments, absolute legends. Thank you very much. Read that one. No Kaita for tomorrow. Yeah, Dougie's out injured anyway. Jürgen said he's in training, but the game against Villa will be coming a bit too soon for him anyway. Is Naby injured? Yeah, he is, Liz. We're missing due to injury, yeah. Chris, how do you rank Barkley, Liz? Well, Chris, then, what are your thoughts on Barkley's start? Obviously, when he was at Chelsea, he wasn't really getting too much of an opportunity, but he seems to have settled in very well, the Villa.
Yeah, another one. He's been fantastic. He's one of them. I think there's no denying that Ross Barkley's a talented footballer. There's just, I think, something missing, possibly whether it's in his game or just the fact that going from Everton to Chelsea, where no disrespect to Ross Barkley, but Chelsea, not necessarily a first team starter. He probably just falls short of some of those players at Chelsea. But yeah, came in. What was good for us was that aside from Jack Grealish, it meant that we had another talented player who was good with the ball in tight spaces, who could create, who could score goals. And yeah, I mean, he had a couple of poor games, but in all fairness, majority of the games he was outstanding, along with Jack Grealish. Obviously against Liverpool in that 7-2 game, him and Grealish were brilliant together, and it just took that burden off Grealish slightly. Even though the whole squad has kind of improved, with Ross Barkley and his quality, it took the burden off Grealish. He went off injured against Brighton. I think it was the start of November with a hamstring injury, and he hasn't been back since. And that's the one kind of, it's harsh to say, but it's the one kind of criticism against him is his injury record in terms of hamstring injuries. I think when he was at Everton, one season he missed 29 games of the season with a hamstring injury. He had a hamstring injury at Chelsea, I think not last season before, and he missed double figures in terms of games, and he's already missed 8 or 9 games for us this season. So I think before his injury, people would have been like, yeah, if we can turn his move into a permanent deal. But the issue in terms of injuries, is a tough one. But in terms of quality and what he offers to the team, absolutely fantastic. He was very easily, in a lot of games, our best player, up with Jack Grealish. He's been fantastic for us. So yeah, I rate him quite a lot, Liz.
Yeah, spot on, guys. We'll talk about Jackie Grealish in a little second, obviously, to conclude the episode anyway. But your expectations, obviously, we've spoken about how we both sides expect to go in this competition. I'd love Jurgen Klopp to take this FA Cup series, but I think a lot of managers in the Premier League, what are your thoughts on the devaluation from certain generations? Obviously, my dad's generation, he loved the FA Cup anyway, and obviously it's very difficult considering how many games are expected of Premier League players. Now, teams are big enough they should field out big teams anyway. Obviously, not everyone's blessed like a Man City or like a Liverpool to have a lot of big players. But would you like to see Villa go far in the Cup anyway this season? Or would you've mentioned obviously possibly try and push for a European spot, hopefully this season in the Premier League. But do you reckon the focus would be more on Premier League than competitions this season for Villa?
It's a tough one to gauge. I think it may have been that the kind of the priorities possibly changed as the season's gone on because of how good our start's been. I think it would be, on one hand, it'd be naive to not kind of try and push in the Premier League because of the good position we're in. Like I say, 8th in the league, 7 points off Liverpool, and we've got 2 games in hand. So when you think about it like that, you think, well, we really are in the mix. I know games in hand, effectively could count for nothing if we ended up losing those games. But realistically, there's an opportunity there that we could really push on. At the same time, it could have been that priorities from the start of the season were we want to make sure that we stay up and we stay comfortably and possibly target the cup competitions. But then when you look at the teams that we fielded in the Carabao Cup, we were, we were making, 10, 11 changes from the previous Premier League game. So we didn't necessarily approach those games with a lot of, in terms of a lot of priority for the cup competition. But at the same time, I think he did have confidence in our second string. I really don't know. It's a tough one. There's an argument for both. I think you could target it and it'd be great. Obviously, we want to see, everyone wants to see their team win cup competitions. But it's a tough one, I think, because I know what you're on about in terms of different eras. You'd kind of have, between 11 and 15 players. And they'd play week in, week out. You'd play your strongest team week in, week out, aside from injuries. I think the difference is probably the intensity of the game. And obviously, we've been playing at a pretty high intensity this season, which is why we've started so well. So it may be that I imagine, and I think that will kind of go with what I said earlier in terms of a bit of a mix and match. But I'd like to see us, as everyone, I want to see us win every game. So it'd be nice to kind of get through. Priorities might change. We could beat Liverpool on Friday, and kind of it could be the start of a good cup run. At the same time, we could lose our next 3 or 4 games in the league, and then it could be like, so it's a hard one to gauge. So we'll just have to see. I think I haven't got a clue really what we're going to do until Friday. I think the team selection
will be interesting, won't it?
Yeah, I think that'll be a key indicator about how we're going to approach things for the rest of the season. So we'll see. But in all fairness, I haven't really got a clue how we're going to approach it, because I just think because normally we probably would have gone second string, but because we are doing quite well,
very well,
that we might mix it up a bit. And I suppose because we're playing Liverpool as well. But again, you just don't know. We'll have to see come Friday.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the FA Cup, mate. It's I'd love Liverpool to win it, obviously, but it's the prioritisation of obviously Liverpool is considering we've got no centre backs. Well, we've got centre backs, but not on the level of Virgil van Dijk and Joe Gomez anyway. Playing youngsters anyway, but yeah, it's spot on there, mate. We've spoken about Liz's comments. Aston Villa, Doug, he's asking Chris, Aston Villa's signing of the summer, Emi Martinez, is it, Chris?
It's a tough one because they've all been so good. I think we made five signings in the summer: Martinez, Cash, Barkley, Traore, and Watkins. Traore was a slow starter, but he's just come into things. In all fairness, he started playing and started producing. I think it took him a bit of time to kind of get up to the speed of the Premier League. And Ross Barkley, obviously, he has been fantastic, but injury, missing the last 2 months, in all fairness, has been a bit of a downer. So I'd say it would be between Martinez, Cash, and Watkins, and I think they've all been a massive part of our success, really. Martinez, the way he's obviously, I think he's given the guys that confidence at the back. It's one of them. I've said it a number of times. I'm sure, say for a Liverpool fan, the difference between Alisson and Adrian. We've balls, probably as a fan, you'd probably be quite nervous as Adrian's in goal. It was the same for us last season. With Heaton injured, we had Neeland in goal and then Pepe Reina. Reina slightly less than Neeland, but with those guys in goal, you were quite nervous in terms of any attack. With Martinez, you almost you expect him just to pluck the ball out of the air and save everything, which he almost has done this season. So yeah, I mean, I could agree with that, to be honest, Doug. Ollie Watkins has been brilliant, in all fairness.
I've loved Watkins as a
Yeah,
neutral watching him when he was in the Championship anyway with Brentford. It's mad, obviously, Brentford have signed, I think it was the League One high top goal scorer now, so they've just replaced him carbon copy with the leading goal scorer in the Championship. But the way in which he took the goals against Liverpool, obviously playing on the back line, on the line, he excites me as a fan anyway. There's nothing better than seeing a player with pace just getting at players.
Yeah. It's that, not just it's the pace coupled with he's fairly strong. He's got good hold up play, and it's just a constant pressure. He's a really, really fit bloke. He played every minute of every game in the league last season for Brentford. So 90 minutes in 46 league games, plus the 3 playoff games. So he's a fit bloke, and he put so much pressure on the opposition back line. That coupled with pace is a really, really difficult thing to defend against. So he's been a big part of why we've played so well, because we almost like it's the old kind of saying, we're defending from the front because Ollie Watkins is pressing so hard, and it's he's been fantastic as well.
Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. I've rated, just quickly get to back to where's Doug's comment gone. Martinez, mate, it's obviously we've seen when Alisson come in, he helped us win the Champions League. It's so important having a very established goalkeeper. It's very hard to get a good goalkeeper to get between your sticks anyway, but you can see goalkeepers save at least 15, 20 points a season, depending on, and from a neutral outside point of view, watching Martinez, Arsenal sold their best goalkeeper it's madness. Obviously, I massively rate Martinez over obviously the likes of Leno anyway, but I think he's settled in so well for you, mate, and I think he can comfortably be stays fully fit. I think it would be a massive improvement, especially in the FA Cup, or a good goalkeeper wins your trophies at the end of the day, and I think he will do so much for you in the coming season. The best ability is availability. We LFC fans totally relate. Obviously, talking about players being injured and that. Obviously, Doug talking about the postponements. Obviously with COVID, I think we will see a lot of that anyway. Sadly, I'm old school. I want to be the shiny trophies. Liz, I'd love every team. Well, every team would love their teams to win every single trophy anyway. Mad that our last FA Cup win was back in 2006. Doug, don't remind me, mate. The Gerrard final. Everyone remembers that. I was speaking to the West Ham lads anyway. They absolutely hate that day. They do, like, there was only one player on the planet that could have won that FA Cup, and that was Stevie G. Chloe, who are the biggest threats for each team? Jack, Aston Villa's best player, Chris, Liverpool's best player. Well, for me, Chloe, thank you for your comments. Considering who we will play, I'd say if Shaqiri is fully fit, obviously probably will play with Divock Origi or Minamino up front as well. But Shaqiri, Chloe, if he is playing, and Chris, for availability, who do you reckon will be the key player on Friday night for the Villa?
Again, it depends. I think it's an odd one, isn't it? Because for both sides, it's all dependent on what team that we play. Yeah. I think, I mean, obviously, if we went, full strength, Jack Grealish would be the key man all day long. I think based on the team that we're likely to play, I can see Grealish being rested. I mean, I could easily see John McGinn being rested as well, but I'll go with John McGinn because I think if Grealish is rested, John McGinn will play in there, and it'll probably just give him that bit more of freedom just to push on a bit more. And in all fairness, he broke his ankle this time last year. So he missed a big chunk of last season, and he's starting to kind of get back into the grooves, so to say.
Yeah.
So I think he could be, if he plays, he could be good. I'll go with John McGinn. Obviously, if Grealish plays, it'd be Grealish. If McGinn doesn't play, because in all fairness, I'm not sure. I think possibly one of the wingers, Traore or El Ghazi, because they're both in good form at the moment. So it'd be certainly one of our attacking players. In all fairness, but again, I could be totally wrong, and we'll play the youth team when we win. None of these players will play, and it'll be sod's law. But so we'll see. We'll see what team we line up with.
But yeah, spot on, Chloe. Nice one for your comments. Very intrigued anyway. Madison, Aston Villa will probably go very strong for this game Friday night. I hope Liverpool can still beat them, but I fancy Villa to beat us. Yeah, I think Dean Smith, I think he'll be saying in that change room, right, we want to beat Liverpool again. He's got a very good record anyway. Obviously, we played us in the semi-final all those seasons. When was that? Was that 2000 and it was
15.
under 2015? Yeah,
2015. Yeah.
Yeah, Christian Benteke scoring. It was Jack Grealish scored that day, didn't he? Is he?
No, it was Delph Grealish set. Grealish, he was unleashed by Tim Sherwood in that game. And Grealish had a good game. To be fair, he was involved in most of our good play. But yeah, Delph got the equaliser, and no, I think Benteke got the equaliser, and Delph made it 2-1 in the second half. But yeah, what a win that was. But yeah, it seems like ages ago, doesn't it? 2015. That feels like that was the last time I went to the pub. 2015.
Yeah, at the current rate, mate, it's frustrating, but obviously everyone being safe and proper. But hopefully, if fingers crossed, if going forward in 2021 is fingers crossed a better year anyway for everyone. No, I really need a win. Liz, we really do need a win. And I tell you, I don't know if Chris has watched a couple of Liverpool games, but I think everyone's been a bit surprised outside Liverpool losing. Liverpool just dropping points and losing games. Very unlike us anyway. But Steve going through. Mr. Buckley, hope we play Phillips or Williams, not Hendo at centre back. I like Hendo, but you should play in centre mid. Buckley, yeah, it'd be interesting, mate. Obviously, if you missed if you're doing pre-match build-up show with the lads, with the Liverpool lads anyway, with Doug and Connor from two very big YouTube channels as well. It was a pleasure to get them on. We discussed that, but it should be on whatever platform you're on, mate, YouTube, and that it should be up there. But get your comments in the comment section below, mate. But thank you for dropping in the live stream. Absolute pleasure, mate. I think Aston Villa will go a stronger team, will be favourites for this side. I think they will, Felix, as well, mate. Super John McGinn, yeah. I've been very impressed, obviously. Doug going. He's obviously him getting injured, as you mentioned last season, mate. Obviously, Scotland qualifying for the European competitions anyway. Robinson being a captain, but he's a very interesting player. He's still, is he 24, 25 years old anyway? I think he could really establish himself as a big Premier League player in the future.
Yeah, he's one of them. You watch him and he's almost got everything. I don't think he scored this season. But obviously last season, in the season before last, in the Championship, he chipped in with a few goals. Last season, he scored a fair few goals. He was the kind of the more advanced midfielder to play closest to Wesley, who was our striker at the time. But you watch him play, he can kind of play 30-yard passes. Obviously, his work rate is second to none. He gets stuck in. He can run with the ball. He's got everything, and he can. If I feel like it's not that injury knocked him out his stride a bit. He was playing well. He was getting into things in the Premier League, and a bad injury like that, bad ankle injury, it does take time to get back. I think he struggled in terms of not just getting back to fitness from the injury, but getting back to match fitness. But yeah, he's got everything, and he can go on to be, like you say, I think an established player in the Premier League. Hopefully with Aston Villa, but I think there'll be a lot of Premier League sides that would look at John McGinn and say, yeah, we can play him. He can play anywhere in midfield, and he'd be brilliant. So yeah, he's a top player. It cost us $2.5 million as well.
Bargain.
Bargain. The lasting legacy of Steve Bruce, who bought him in for $2.5 million. So,
right, we'll find absolutely spot on there, mate. We'll get this man up. I think he will. He's dominated the headlines all over, good and bad, anyway. But I really do rate this man anyway. If we asked him, I'd love him in a Liverpool team. It'd be interesting to see how Jurgen Klopp would due to his career. But mate, your thoughts on his season this season and going forward, you expect him to do this season? Do you expect him to stay? That's a big question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. Obviously, he signed a 5-year contract in the summer, and obviously, you kind of think on face value, he signed a 5-year contract because he's going nowhere. But then on the other hand, I think signing that 5-year contract is to protect the club, to ensure that we can get the most money out of him. I know he's Villa through and through. He's a Villa fan. Obviously, he's grown up a Villa fan, grown up in Birmingham, all that stuff. I kind of think similarities possibly to Wayne Rooney. Obviously, he was an Evertonian, signed a 3-year contract with Everton in 2003, signed for Manchester United a year later in 2004. At the time, I think he was only 17, so he could only sign 16, so he could only sign a 3-year contract anyway. Possibly at the time, we would have signed a 5, maybe 6-year contract or something. So similar to that in terms of being able to keep hold of him. I don't know whether we will, but he just seems to be getting better and better and better. Ever since we kind of first saw him back in 2014, as a 16-year-old, in terms of the way he plays and his talent, it's the same. He's always had it. He plays the same kind of way. It's just that physically now he's become, he's on another level. He's stocky. He's strong. He's a lot quicker than he was. Like Gareth Southgate spoke about athleticism and stuff like that. He, in terms of pace, he's up there with some of the quickest players. I think against Crystal Palace, it showed. There was one counter we had, and he had the ball, and he was, Wilf Zaha. We know how quick Wilf Zaha is. He was struggling to keep up with him. So he's just going on it each game, and you look at things like some of his stats in terms of
chances created. Is he? He's probably one of the leading in Europe.
Yeah, so he's in terms of key passes, he's got the most in Europe across the top 5 leagues. So obviously most in the Premier League. Shot creating action, he's top in the Premier League. Fouls drawn, he's top. He's always going to be top on that one. Passes into the opposition box, he's second in the Premier League behind De Bruyne. Expected assists, second in the league behind Bruno Fernandes. Players dribbled past, he's second in the league behind Adama Traore.
It's amazing.
So you kind of look there, and he can be a 10 like Fernandes, like De Bruyne, but he also can be, and he does play there quite often, a winger and doing similar kind of things to Adama Traore in a totally different way. But second behind Traore in terms of players dribbled past. Progressive passes, he's third behind Bruno Fernandes, De Bruyne and Luke Ayling. No, Bruno Fernandes, Luke Ayling just ahead of De Bruyne. Assists, fourth behind Kane, De Bruyne and Bruno Fernandes. He's up there, a lot. If he's not at the top with his stats, he's just behind the big guys, and you look at the players, Fernandes, De Bruyne, Kane, they're top players, and they've all been very good this season. So it just kind of shows that not only is he performing at the top of his game for Aston Villa, he's at the top of his game in terms of everyone in the Premier League. I think last season, all of his stats were at the top in terms of compared to Aston Villa players. This season, they're at the top compared to the Premier League and compared to Europe. So he's just gone on another level. I'd love to keep him. I think there's that. The thing keeping him is that we've got 2 billionaire owners who, if he wanted more money, we'd pretty much pay him what he wants. Obviously, he's a Villa fan, but I think the one thing could possibly be Champions League football, which we aren't going to give him anytime soon. In all fairness, we're probably a couple of years away from Champions League football, and that's being kind to Villa. In all fairness, that's just going off the way we've progressed this season. So there's a chance that Liverpool, Man United, Man City might come in with Champions League football, and that could sway him. But again, we none of us know. In all fairness, Jack's the only one who knows, and we'll have to. Only time will tell. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one.
Yeah, it's mad from a local. Obviously, he's a local lad anyway. You want him to stay at your football club. We had it with Gerrard in 05, 06 anyway. After the Champions League, his head was turned, and obviously, but you never know. This season has been crazy, Chris. If you continue playing like you have and you win your games in hand, the Premier League is so strong. Anyone can beat anyone in a day. And obviously, if you get a good run, we've seen with Leicester winning the league. As long as you keep your consistent levels, anyone really in the Premier League has got a shot at the big prizes, mate. But as long as he didn't go to Man United, I'd be for him to come to Liverpool. But at Man United, I think it'd be a step down going to Manchester United to the mighty Villa anyway. But it's frightening. I'm intrigued to see how his development does go in the next coming years. So from a point of view as a Villa fan, hopefully he does stay and really establish himself and become obviously an Aston Villa legend. But Jack Mac the GOAT. I've got a bit of a goatee anyway. I don't know. I think that's going a bit too far there. But nice one, Natasha. Thank you for joining the live stream. If one of the mods can just remove or block whoever that is, the spam, it's just bloody boss or something. Thank you very much, everyone. If we are moving on upwards trends, then Limitless Villain, thank you very much for dropping in, mate. If Villa are moving in an upwards trend, that is going, it isn't going anywhere. Yeah, it's as I just said then, mate. Thank you for your comments, and I'm intrigued to see how the Villa do get on. EZ, SM, Sadio Mane number 10. Yo, how are you doing, matey? Thank you very much. Limits fella, I don't see you losing Grealish. He is very happy playing for his boyhood club. Yeah, spot on there, Doug. I don't think he will move, especially if Man United are putting a bid in. I think Man United, especially with Edwards Woods, he doesn't even know how to do transfers properly. Jack, I made you a mod on my channel, by the way. Doug, I'm hoping you are a mod on my channel because I've known you for absolute ages, Doug. You can tell me off. You can tell me off after the video once me and Chris are sorted anyway. But apologies, mate. You should be a mod, but I have to get my act together here. Sorry, matey. But yeah, it's going for a 3-1 to Liverpool with Taki 2 goals and Mane. And Sadio Mane said, "Do you reckon Liverpool will go strong, mate?" I think it will be, obviously, Chris. I think we probably will go with Kelleher in goal, Nico at right back, 2 young lads centre back anyway, Jimmy Milner left back anyway, and then Curtis Jones possibly. There's no Naby Keita, so you possibly go with Henderson if he does play, and possibly add another youngster into the mix in that midfield, and then obviously Minamino, Shaqiri, and Divock Origi anyway. But Chris, yeah, I'll let you go. You've been on for a very long time. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully do get you on the channel another time as well. Been an absolute pleasure. Smashed it, mate. And just shout out your socials so everyone can check them out. Just what are your socials, mate, so everyone can check out.
So yeah, we're on YouTube. With Villa Together on YouTube, so you can watch every podcast that we do. We'll put a version on, a video version on there. You can follow us and listen to us via Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Any good kind of podcast provider, we're on there. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we post the usual kind of stuff on there. So Limbless Villain. Give us a follow, give us a like, and subscribe to us on YouTube if you like. But yeah, massive thanks for having me on, mate. Really enjoyed it.
Been an absolute pleasure, mate, and I can't wait till Friday. Hopefully it's just a very good game. I think we could do with a good goal fest anyway. Watch this being bored, you know. But yeah, as long as it's a good game, mate. But it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Let's get to the last comments before we do shoots off. Have a great day. You too, Liz. Thank you for dropping in, everyone.
Cheers,
Dugout, just replying to Liz. Limitless fella, exactly why go play European football for someone else if they can't make history for the team he loves? Yeah, absolutely spot on there, mate. It's in an ideal scenario. I think Liverpool, when we lost Torres, obviously he wasn't a local lad anyway. It's very different. You don't know where. If we were in the shoes of Jack Grealish, I think we'd want to. And if you're a local lad playing for your boyhood club, you want to stay at your club. And I'm hoping he does stay, because it'd be amazing to see his developments under Dean Smith and that. But yeah, nice one, Line. Nice one, Chris. Been an absolute pleasure. Everyone that's tuned in on Twitter, Twitch, every other platform. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. All the Villa fans, all the Liverpool fans around the world, keep safe and well in these troubled times. But we'll all stick together and we'll get through this. But shout out to all the key workers and NHS staff around the world. They are the real heroes anyway. Stay safe, everyone, and you'll never walk alone. Chill out, Chris. Thank you very much again, mate.
Cheers. Nice one. Thanks, mate.